From the Upco Studios in Oklahoma City, you're watching The Press Row. I'm Jenni Carlson here with Barry Tramel. It's time for our inbox segment. We take questions from your emails and we try to answer them here on video. Barry, let's get right to it. How about this one from Craig? Craig asks, is the Thunder regressing? Barry, what do you think?
Well, I mean, obviously Craig sent this to me before the Thunder took out the Clippers in impressive fashion, but it's a legitimate question, big slump. I'm going to say no, though, because it's just a slump. I mean, the Mavericks didn't set the world on fire last season during the regular season, won the NBA title. It's a long season. It's a condensed season. Crazy things happen. I think it's too early to say the Thunder's regressing. They've definitely been slumping.
You know what I think, too? It bears pointing out in this condensed season that they're playing so many games, teams are going to have these up and down times. I mean, when the Spurs came to town last week, the Thunder looked like a team on the back end of a back-to-back. And I thought, Barry, that was the first time that really happened. But let's remember, this is a young team, and I think they may be hitting a little bit of that wall later than some other teams. But, I mean, the Heat, a really great team out of the East, they lost to Milwaukee. They've all had losses. And I think the Thunder is maybe just hitting that wall a little bit later. I don't think it's a regression. I think it's just a little bit of a downturn right now.
Yeah, they need to play better, though, no doubt about it.
Yep. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Cal. Cal says, what was the schedule maker smoking when he gave the Sooners 3 byes in the first 5 weeks? You got an answer for that, Barry?
Well, no offense, Cal, but what were you smoking when you read the schedule and saw 3 byes? They only have 2 byes the first 5 weeks. Although if you went into a court of law and argued that Florida A&M is a bye, you would probably get off. But no, here's the deal. I think people know everyone has things about their schedule they don't like. Everyone. Someone at the Big 12 told me there's only 2 schools that don't gripe about their schedule annually. We won't say who the schools are. I'll save that for another day. But everybody gripes about their schedules. And, you know, the Sooners get 2 byes, early in the year, 15th and 29th of September. Would they like one later in the year? Fine. Yeah, they would. But the Sooners are the ones that signed up to play Notre Dame in late October. Exactly. So you got to live with what you've done.
Well, and I think that Notre Dame game is the answer to the question. I mean, if you're going to play Notre Dame, who does not have their games are sort of spread throughout the year. If you want to play them and you're not a team that's on their schedule regularly, you're going to have to go with basically when they say. And Barry, that means some early season byes. Yeah, it's a little bit goofy, but I think there are other things to worry about. I mean, you look at some of the stretches that they have, especially late. I think that's going to be really interesting. I'd be much more worried about that than byes early on in the schedule. All right, back to the inbox. This one comes from Michael. Michael says, what do you think of the rumors of Florida State, Miami, and Clemson coming to the Big 12? Is that a realistic shot?
I think I'm tired of those rumors. I don't, and I keep hearing.
I didn't even know this was a possibility.
I hear
Barry.
multiple times a week from people who get on the internet grill and see this idea that Florida State and Clemson particularly are ready to bolt the ACC. I think the answer is no. I don't think they're ready to bolt the ACC for a couple of reasons. One is the Big 12 is still not a stable conference. It's still a little bit on the squishy side. You don't leave stability for instability. You leave instability for stability. That's what we've seen in conference realignment the last 2 years. So Florida State and Clemson not going to go to a leaky ship. And the other thing is Florida State and Clemson both have had ups and downs the last decade. If they ever get their act together, they will be the preeminent program in the ACC with a clear ticket to BCS bowls or the play, whatever format we have. In the Big 12, much tougher avenue. I think they're staying.
Yeah, and that's why teams like, we've talked about Louisville and some other teams from sort of West Virginia's neck of the woods that have Big East tie-ins. Those teams, to me, are the ones that make the most sense because the Big East is clearly really struggling right now, taking teams from everywhere, just trying to get its footing by, basically having how many teams can we get and will that provide us stability? That's a more unstable situation than the Big 12. That's why those teams make sense. But Florida State and Clemson? No way, Barry. That's not going to happen.
I don't think so.
All right, back to the inbox. Trent with our last question. He says, with Manning in Denver, would drafting Broyles be a strong possibility due to a depleted receiver corps? Barry, I have to say, when I see Manning in Denver, I sometimes think, Danny Manning's playing for the Nuggets? What's going on here? No, Peyton Manning playing for the Broncos.
It's a new world, but I got to say, I don't see any correlation between Tim Tebow / Peyton Manning, John Elway, whoever's quarterback in the Broncos, and Ryan Broyles. Ryan Broyles is a good, solid NFL prospect, but he's not an elite receiver in terms of prospect. He's not going to be in the first round. He's not going to be one of the first 4 or 5 receivers taken. I don't think his status is affected at all by who's quarterbacking the Broncos. I think it's a crapshoot where he lands.
Well, and clearly the Broncos are going to need some more receivers to make it work with Peyton Manning. It sounds like the Broncos are going to be hot and heavy into maybe trying to acquire some guys. Dallas Clark's name's been thrown out there. Obviously, a guy that knows what Peyton Manning wants to do after playing with him. So, they're going to go after some guys, Barry, but it seems like to me that it would have to be just the right timing. If the Broncos draft pick came up and they could still get Broyles and they liked him, maybe get him, but I don't think it's an either-or situation. I don't think that necessarily means he's going to the Broncos.
No, I don't either. There's about half the teams in the league could use some more receivers, and I think his chances of going to Denver is
about the same
with all of them.
All right. Be sure to stay with the best coverage team anywhere at newsok.com and every day in the Oklahoman.